What is up, everyone? It's the Golden Centurion here, back at it again for another video. So I'm sorry guys that this video is probably going to be really quiet. Recording it at night. Had a really hectic week, that's why this video is going up really late. But anyways guys, this is my week 1 matchup for the GPC. So for those of you guys who don't know, GPC is a Pokemon Draft League. It is upload required, and I applied roughly about a month ago, and I got accepted. So I'm pretty stoked about that. Going to be fun. Going to have some really tough competition this season, and some really cool guys that I get to play against. So, anyways, guys, I have not done my draft recap video yet, so this team looks really new to a lot of you. But anyways, I will get that video out soon. But here's week 1. We're going up against Gareth. He's one of the commissioners of the league, and the 6 that he opted to bring are Ribombee, Suicune, Scizor, his Dhelmise, his Necrozma, and his Rotom Heat. So to counteract that, I decided to bring a bit more of a bulkier team. I brought a really bulky Alolan Muck, a really bulky Seismitoad, a pretty offensive Diggersby, a mixed and bulky and offensive Scizor, a Stealth Rock leading Lycanroc with Focus Sash, and a Gardevoir. So, a quick rundown is my Gardevoir is Hyper Voice, Psyshock, and I believe HP Will-O-Wisp and Healing Wish. My Lycanroc is Stealth Rocks, Endeavor, Excel Rock, and Taunt. My Scizor is Bullet Punch, U-Turn, Roost, and Defog, I believe. Then I have a Agility setup Diggersby, a Earth Power knockoff Scald Toxic Seismitoad, a Toxic knockoff Fire Punch Poison Jab Muck. Alright guys, looking at his team, my plan ideally is to go ahead and lead with my Lycanroc and get up rocks, as it can do that versus almost his entire team, except for Dhelmise and Scizor. If he leads Scizor, I will predict him to Bullet Punch, and then I can Endeavor him. So that's the plan I'm going to make. So he leads Scizor as I lead with my Lycanroc, and turn 1, like I said, I'm going to Endeavor. However, he does not Bullet Punch, he opts to just U-turn. So that puts me in a horrible position, as I really field a lot of my strat, and I don't get rocks up, and I'm really at a low amount of health. So that's a horrible start for me. But he brings in Dhelmise, and my automatic switch-in is always Muck. He makes a really good play and goes for knockoff, knocking off my Figgy Berry. However, I'm going to predict him to just stay in or anything, and I go for knockoff my own, knocking off the Suicune's item of Rocky Helmet, which meant this was probably a switch in for Diggersby as well as Scizor, which means this means that those two will not be getting chipped down anymore. Now, looking at the Suicune, his obvious play is to go for Scald on to this Muck. However, I would switch into Seismitoad. However, I expect for him to have Toxic, so I'm going to stay in here and scout for that. If he burns me, it's unfortunate, but not the worst thing in the world. So he goes for Toxic, which I got right, and then I fire off Toxic of my own. So the Suicune is Toxic, which means it cannot wall me that well. He goes into Scizor, as I didn't think he'd do. I go to my Lycanroc, so now I have to double out into my Seismitoad, which can eat up hits from this for days. Ate the Bullet Punch fairly well. He goes ahead and U-turns. And now I just go ahead for a big knockoff, and I knock off the Occaberry. So the fact that he's Occaberry reveals to me that he's either fearing Fire Punch from Diggersby, or maybe Fire Fang from the Lycanroc, but it does mean that he will not be hitting me that hard offensively, and he will not be getting any recovery. So on this turn I switch out right into my Alolan Muck, as he synthesizes up, which is a good play, and I go for Fire Punch on the incoming Mega Scizor. Now this play is huge, as his Scizor is really needed for my team. It checks Lycanroc, it checks Mega Gardevoir, it can check my own Scizor and beat it, and it's fairly well versus Diggersby. So I'm just going to spam Fire Punch, as he will spam Roost. As you guys can see, that did 55%, so I'm winning this battle. So he goes for Roost, I Fire Punch again, and if he wants to switch out into Suicune or something else, that's fine, as that means Scizor is staying low. And every time a Suicune comes in, it's taking my Toxic chip and getting itself into range of my Gardevoir's Hyper Voice, as well as my Diggersby's return. So now against the Suicune, I am going to this time switch out into Scizor. It was a mid-ground play. If he wanted to go for Toxic, I could easily absorb that. And if he went for Scald, hopefully he wouldn't get the burn, and then I could get momentum with U-turn. So U-turn is my play here 100% of the time. He goes out into his Rotom Heat, I U-turn, and now I go on to my Lycanroc. And I think this series of play completely changed the momentum of the game, as the early turn he had a complete momentum versus my Lycanroc, but now Lycanroc is in here, and he doesn't know for sure what moves I have, so he's forced out of his Rotom Heat, so I basically get free Stealth Rocks up onto this, and now I'm expecting him to either be a setup variant, a Statusine variant, or a Stealth Rocking variant. So all of those are covered by Taunt, so I go for Taunt, and if he decides to just kill me, oh well, I can revenge him. However, if he does go for one of those moves, great. So I go for my Taunt as he tries to get up his Rocks of his own, it doesn't work out, and I get off the Endeavor. Scizor's U-turn did put me down really low, and now this Endeavor put his Necrozma in range of knockoff, in range of U-turn, in range of Scald, any hit basically from my entire team, especially after Rocks. So his Necrozma is basically done, as he picks up a kill with Photon Geyser. So now I go on to the threat that is Mega Gardevoir. Fire off a Hyper Voice, as nothing on his team could take a Hyper Voice in the Psyshock. And down goes his Rotom Heat. I'm a bulkier variant though, that's why I ate that up and didn't want speed. He goes out into a Scizor, and I make a misplay. So, since I mentioned Scizor is hugely valuable to his team, I thought he'd want to preserve it on the obvious Bullet Punch and me switching out and go for Roost. So I went for Will-O-Wisp to try and trap him. However, he makes a good play and just goes straight for a Bullet Punch. So now I go into Diggersby, and I decided to pull the trigger on my Agility. Probably a bit too soon, but he goes for Bullet Punch. As you guys can see, it does 40. I go for Agility. He goes for Bullet Punch, brings me down to 91 or to 19. I am Life Orb, so I get one more hit. He goes out into his Necrozma as I kill this off, meaning it can't Moonlight up or anything, and my Diggersby drops to recoil. So here we are at a 3-3 standstill. However, I have Rocks up. His Suicune is really weak. His Dhelmise has no item, and I haven't seen anything from Ribombee, but it will take 25% from Rocks. So I go Alolan Muk as it covers his Ribombee as well as his Dhelmise. And if he goes Suicune, I haven't gone into my Seismitoad hard yet, so he might not think I'm Water Absorb. So that's my play if he goes Suicune, which he does. Taking Rock and soon to be Toxic, this thing is extremely low. As I go straight into Seismitoad, he goes for Scald, I get my Water Absorb boost back, and now I get to fire off another, actually, I make a prediction here that he'll go out into Ribombee or Dhelmise, so I go for Toxic. That's right. Now I go right into Alolan Muk, the switch in, he gets his Rapid Spin off, which is threatening, because at this point I was thinking Ribombee might be Focus Sash. However, I basically win this game with my Scizor Bullet Punch spam once I get this thing weakened. So I go for Poison Jab, do a decent chunk. He misses his Power Whip. While that is unfortunate, it did not matter in the long run, as I'll explain at the end. I go for Fire Punch, knock this thing out. He goes into his Ribombee. He goes for hit Z move and almost knocks me out. He would have knocked me out had he would have 100% knocked me out had the Power Whip hit. However, that doesn't matter as I am Aqua Berry on my Scizor, so I would have just stayed in and lived to HP Fire and proceeded to kill him with 2 Bullet Punches. He switches out, goes into Scizor, 1 Bullet Punch plus Toxic plus another Bullet Punch plus Toxic will get me the KO. And that is the game, guys. So that is my Week 1 match versus Gareth. A clean 2-0 in my favor. The hacks were not that important. The main factor that decided this game, I think, was Lycanroc getting up the hazards, weakening his Necrozma, and keeping hazards off my side. I think that was the main turning point. Something I need to improve on is not being too trigger happy with my win con with Diggersby, and also not playing too aggressive as I do with the Mega Gardevoir. However, overall I think my performance was alright, as it did get me the W. Alright guys, that is my week 1 video, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.